farther west we travel along Route 66, the more the road begins to feel like a time capsule. In this episode, we leave our Ash Fork explorers behind and continue toward Peach Springs, starting in one of the most iconic stretches of the Mother Road in northern Arizona. From there, we follow a route lined with fading roadside relics, unexpected landmarks, and reminders of a time when the journey itself was the reason to travel. By day's end, we arrive in Peach Springs, where another night along Route 66 brings this stretch of the journey to a close. Off the bat, some of these sites are immediately recognizable to me from watching other people's videos, but I've also been here once before, not to make a video, but my wife and I went up and visited the historic Grand Canyon Caverns, which we're going to be driving by, maybe touring if time permits, we'll see. But we ate at the Snow Cap. The burgers there, it was delicious. I'm not hungry right now, but excellent place to get a burger. Highly recommended. Anywhere you look, you see Route 66 plastered on every building, every sign you see. So this is one of the classic Route 66 segments that we're going to be traveling today, and Seligman is definitely a classic Route 66 town of the highest magnitude. You've got gift shops, you've got classic motels, lots of it's got that era feeling, that classic Route 66 vacation feel to me. And along the route, you're gonna see locations that even inspired things like Disney's Cars, like Radiator Springs. Peach Springs, I believe, is the inspiration for that. So I just thought we'd do a nice, casual, aesthetic exploration of the things we're gonna see along the way with no real particular plan. As for me, I love old stuff and old buildings, and some of these, especially when you kind of look down the side alleys, really show their age. Now, I will not make any claims to be a Route 66 guru. Not usually. This era of history is not really my main thing here on the Cactus Atlas, as most of you know. I like the Old West the best. But I thought it would be a pity in the Route 66, the year of celebration here, the anniversary, right up there on the sign, to not at least give it the Cactus Atlas treatment. There are other YouTubers that I watch, my wife and I watch. One in particular that I'll just plug his channel. His name is Justin Scarred. Some of our viewers definitely watch him. A lot of you may not, but he, I would say, does the deepest cuts of Route 66 history. Probably could tell you about most of the history of these motels and things that you see along the way in great detail. So if you really want to see that, maybe we'll put a few links to some of videos of his that we recommend, but I'm not planning on doing that level of deep dive here on this episode. For me, I just like seeing all these buildings. I need to get to the other side of the road here so we can maybe poke our heads into a couple. Recently seen, I think it was actually Justin's other videos. He was just here a few weeks ago, I think, and was in some of these very buildings that we're actually looking at and talking to some of the folks that he knows that works in these places. So if you find this channel, you don't have to go that far back in history to find content from him here. Of course, you all that watch my show know this character, Mr. Slim, my pickup truck. I still haven't found a car wash anywhere, and boy, he is still a mess. This actually is a good indicator of the kind of stuff I usually do on this channel to film. If you want to know where I got all that mud, watch the last few episodes and find out. But we're usually not on pavement, if that's not a clue enough. But Slim's taking a break here. I'm letting him chill out. To me, this is my second time, I think, passing through these parts. I don't even remember when my wife and I came through here, probably a decade ago, I don't know. But not much has changed. from what I remember, and that's a good thing. That's why I think this is such a special town. It's almost like it's frozen in time to me, and you really get that era feeling. I just feel like it just has like I just picture being, you know, an early vacationer traveling maybe to Disneyland from the Midwest. I think a lot of Disneyland vacationers did travel along Route 66. So I just think the excitement, maybe being a child on a vacation, traveling across the country and passing through towns just like this, that looked like this in the era. There's just fewer and fewer towns like this that remain in our country, and it's, you know, to find something this complete with this much vibe to it, that old school, to me it's like a vacation vibe. It kind of makes me feel young and think about my family vacations growing up. Although we never drove through places like this, I just maybe am seeing it through the eyes of a child back in the day in the family car. Maybe this would be a destination on your cross-country trip coming from the Midwest or something like that. Maybe Chicago, driving the whole thing out to LA, and this very likely would have been one of your overnight stops. This would have been a perfect place to lay down your roots for a night. See, it's stuff like this that's kind of a little bit off the beaten path that I like. This store, for example, just looks the part. It just looks, it's got that antique look. And it still looks like if it, not sure the history of this building, but I wonder if it has always been some kind of small corner grocery store. And now it's got a really cool painting on the side of the building, that old car out front. I mean, like virtually every building has this kind of vibe around this town. It's so cool. Most of the videos that I see, people kind of hang out on the main drag, so buildings like this I don't really recall seeing. This looks like actually an old post office. Look at that. It doesn't look like it's in operation anymore. It's not, I wouldn't say boarded up, bricked up maybe, and some metal sheets in front of some of the windows and stuff, but I'm guessing that too is a classic building here in Seligman. You know, vehicles like this are kind of or what I'm thinking of. What is that, a rover? I'm not familiar with that. What is that? Huh. You can see this is an original though. If you look at if you can kind of see the interior, hasn't really received any updates. Is that Mr. Tomater? You could see like a lot of Disney inspired, like Cars inspired treatments to some of the classic vehicles around here, which I think is fitting. I think that works well over here, and a lot of classic cars. This old fire truck. Actually, there's Mr. Tomater. I think I got it all wrong. That looks like Tomater from the Cars movies. This is really cool. There's a lot of classic cars on display here. In front of I think a collision and repair center. It's like everywhere you turn in this town there is eye candy, like everywhere. Just non-stop, like chock full of just very creative art displays and just based on classic cars oftentimes. It's exactly this sort of thing here that I kind of just envision the vacationers of many decades ago, pulling in here with their families after a long day of driving, they got here, and now they can like cool off, watch color TV maybe. Maybe if you go back far enough, it's still black and white. And I assume air conditioning. Another classic, a Packard. And this motel's really cozy and nice looking too, actually. So, and they do veterans discounts. If anybody wants to know, there's an Instagram. The other thing I've noticed, and one reason why I would love to stay in this town one day, I opted for Peach Springs tonight, by the way. As part of this episode, I'm staying up on the Wallapai Reservation in their lodge, the Wallapai Lodge. So if you're interested in seeing what that's like, I'll be filming it in this video. That's a more strategic location for what I'm filming tomorrow morning. So that's why I wanted to be there. Otherwise, I would totally have chosen to stay here in Seligman. Wouldn't have even been a competition otherwise. You can see there's a BNSF train going by. I think BNSF is a Berkshire Hathaway company, is it not? So Warren Buffett would be proud. I'm sure we could just stand here for 15 minutes and we may not see the end of that train. I originally planned to be here a lot earlier today, and I was gonna incorporate and have a meal here at the snow cap and film it and review it for you. But I had many delays today while filming our other usual content, which would have been last week's episode actually, where I went out to the Johnson train tunnel, and that gives you more if you're new here and you found me because of this Route 66 stuff. That's our usual type of thing that we do, where I seek out remnants of old, especially Old West history, mining history, stuff like that. So not usually, this era is a little bit too modern for Slim in my tastes. And usually we like dirt roads, not paved roads. But I feel like I'm just doing a blow through on this. I just wanted to kind of, pick up some of the aesthetics, say hello to the town really quick before we actually hit the road, which is our specialty. Oh yeah, look at this. This is the motel. Can't really see the name of it now. It's something Inn. But anyway, this is a historic landmark. It was established in 1932. So it kind of gives us, go over here and check this out actually. There are people like staring at my pickup truck and talking about how dirty it is. So this is one that I recall that other YouTuber Justin Scard was just talking about this on a recent episode, and I think he was remarking how this is kind of an older style like motor court, where originally I want to say they updated it, but the rooms used to have, if I remember correctly, like garages when automobile vacationing was starting to become a thing. And you can see right there, this is older, definitely shows its age, but 1932, almost 100 years old, if you can believe that. And there's Slim looking all dirty. Let's peek in one of these. Oh, hello. Wow. I wanted to step in here really quick to see this. And this is something that I learned from Justin's channel. This is, I believe, Angel Delgadillo, so he's still alive. He used to do haircuts here, but I believe him and his family are, for the large part, responsible for the revival and tourism industry in this town. So I wanted to come pay homage and get my picture taken with him, a selfie. I know I'm doing a very quick and dirty job, but this video is going to cover a lot, right? So we have to be somewhat selective, and I kind of want to just give you the flavor. of this, but check out all these even the signs definitely show their age. That old Texaco sign up there, that is cool. But we're gonna cross the street one more time, look to the left, and then to the right, and we're gonna make it, I think. Anyway, there's your taste of this historic Route 66 town. We've got many more things to see up the road, and I'm trying to hustle just on the off chance there's a tour that I might want to try to do. We'll see. It's just going to be about timing and a couple other things, but if I don't do the tour, it's a Grand Canyon Caverns. If I can't make the tour today, that's okay. There's still so much to unpack. So I'm gonna get in the truck and we're gonna hit Route 66. Okay, so we're just gonna head up and we're gonna go where the wind takes us on this one. So let's enjoy the drive through. The only thing, we're at the far end of town. The snow cap is right behind us, so we're not gonna drive by that. But virtually everything, we walked down a good ways downtown here and got a lot on foot. But we'll do this pass through, give it its due. There's the Supai Motel again, and we walked down to about right here and then turned around. It's more residential up here. I like looking at the residential stuff. There's some really interesting homes here. You can definitely tell their age, or they're from a different time, not modern by any means. I would fathom a guess, maybe 1930s vintage, some of these things, maybe 40s, I don't know. But really cool town, really cool town. One of my, favorite towns in Arizona, I would say. I just don't get to spend a lot of time here, unfortunately. So we'll have to change that in the future. There's actually more to see on this end of town. I was trying to do some stuff with Google Maps. All right, blah, 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 we don't care. I'm just trying to plot so I can predict what time I'm gonna arrive where. Because I may actually have time to go into the Grand Canyon Caverns. I've done that once before, not on the Cactus Atlas. My wife and I, the time I was up here was just purely, this is before I started filming on YouTube. My wife and I just took I think we did an overnight trip actually, if I remember. I forget where we stayed. It wasn't on Route 66, but the main goal was the Grand Canyon Caverns. But I think that's the time we ate at the Snow Cap and got our tasty burger and fries and a soda, I'm sure is probably what we ended up having. I always have good memories from that trip. That was a fun one. And now we're back out on the open road, heading to, like I said, tonight, Peach Springs. Just to review, I'm staying, I believe it's called the Wallapai Lodge. It's the Wallapai Indian Reservation is there. Maybe a sneak peek, if everything goes according to plan, I'm going to be buying a permit to do the drive to the bottom of the Grand Canyon. Going to make a specific episode for that, which might be the next, depending on how this works out, this episode may end up being a kind of a three-parter, with that drive to the Grand Canyon being stuffed in the middle of that. It's one of the episodes, or it may be, it really just depends if I can get into the Grand Canyon Caverns and catch a tour, which I think they have. But oh, here's those famous Route 66 signs. I don't think those are the Burma-Shave, are they? I was sitting here, yeah, Burma-Shave. So back in the day, you would, as you were traveling, you'd see these advertisement signs like that all along Route 66. I'm sure it made it fun, for the family driving through here on vacations. I grew up in the Midwest, spent a lot of my life in St. Louis, Missouri, which I remember we had a lot of Route 66 stuff in St. Louis. didn't really mean that much to me as a kid. I'm like, Route 66? But when I put it into perspective now, and I live out west, and I think about, my family never did I don't think we ever vacationed anywhere other than the East Coast. Probably Florida was always where we would go. But I just am trying to, you put yourself in the shoes of a family that maybe planned their Disneyland vacation. They're heading to California, LA, taking Route 66 from the Midwest. Let's just say St. Louis. I'm familiar with what Missouri looks like. And let's say it's your first time as a family going on that adventure, and you get to these regions, right? I mean, you may have never seen anything like this before. TV back in the day isn't what it is today. You didn't have 4K, you had black and white. So the landscapes, the look and feel wouldn't have popped like it would in person on old media. So I could just imagine the excitement as the landscape would change, heading from east to west. And then seeing these sights that we see with our own eyes right now, somebody's kids were looking out that window, daydreaming, and just, their imaginations running wild, seeing these landscapes pass out the window. Oh, I thought that was I couldn't tell if that was a dead squirrel or a live squirrel. It was just kind of in the middle of the road. I don't know what it was doing. Squirrels don't eat roadkill. Unless they got some kind of mutant meat-eating squirrels out here in the desert that I didn't know about. That would be frightening. Meat-eating squirrels. And one thing I like about that I think I could get into with Route 66 is identifying the most defunct, oldest sections that got rediverted even way back in the day. Like, I like the story of the roads, like going out to Oatman, for example, back in the days where you would have to take your car up in reverse uphill, so I guess you wouldn't flood the engine with fuel because of the way they were designed and how gravity would feed some of those systems. You literally would have to drive up steep hills backwards, I hear, up of crazy roads. We've been out to Oatman, and I did film an episode out there that you could go back into the Cactus Atlas back catalog and see that. But that's my jam. Like, I like the oldest eras of Route 66 history, where the cars probably looked as old-timey as they were gonna look. 1920s would be awesome, and the 30s would be cool too. Here's some more of those signs, those historic, the fun signs. If daisies are your, you got to read them one at a time, favorite flower, keep pushing up. This is fun. Those miles per hour, Burma-Shave. I guess it's a safety message. If you want to be pushing up daisies, drive faster. Not really good advice, kids. But look at the landscape in front of us. It is beautiful. Very expansive views. You could see for many, many miles. Buttes, just, it does kind of have that Disney's Cars vibe, and like I said, truthfully, the artists for that movie were heavily inspired, I think, by this section of Route 66. And then off to the right, in that expansive landscape, the Grand Canyon is not far. Probably about 20 miles or so, if I had to estimate, north of us. The drive that I'm going to be undertaking, the off-road dirt drive down to the bottom of the Grand Canyon, is, I think, a 19-mile drive from Route 66. So to me, it's a Route 66 activity because you start right on Route 66. So hopefully there's no hang-ups around that, because I do have to buy a permit, and I don't think I'm going to get to the office in time before it closes today, which means that I think they open at 8 a.m. So unfortunately, I got to start a little bit later than I'd like. I'm an early morning guy. 8 a.m.'s like lunchtime sometimes for me, but that's okay. I planned it around the 8 a.m. start time, and I should be able to get everything done in my itinerary with no problem. So consider this your Arizona Historic Route 66 tour, and speaking of Route 66, more coincidental than planned, I stayed in Williams, Arizona, which I featured briefly, where I actually spent the night in a historic brothel that was built in the late 1800s. It's supposed to be haunted by a prostitute named Eve, who's supposed to like grab your arm or shake your bed. But being as though I was staying in the madam's room, I'm guessing the ghost didn't go into the madam's room, so I didn't have any paranormal encounters. But I think I was the only one. That there may have been one other patron staying in there, but all the other rooms were not. They were vacant, and nobody works in there. It's basically they give you you book it, they send you a key code, and if you need something, you're gonna send a text or call somebody. So you're kind of left on your own, which I actually prefer that. It's like, here's your key code, have fun. You don't need us. So it was really cool. And I got to actually go into all but one of the rooms to check them out. Each room had history tied to it, a story behind it, and there are rooms you can rent today. So if you want to check that out, and I mean, it was a fantastic hotel, the Red Garter Inn. I would say for historic boutique hotels like that in my time, I think the Mitzpah Hotel in Tonopah, Nevada has been maybe my favorite to date. But I would say that Red Garter Inn, like, definitely gives the Mitzpah some serious competition, I would say. I love the Red Garter Inn. I will actually 100% be staying in the Red Garter Inn in the future, and it was affordable. Maybe the prices will come up in the summer, I don't know, but it was very affordable during the week. All right, kids, we got more of those Burma-Shave signs here. Let's see what these say. So the first one's boring, it just says cattle crossing, but here I think is the first official one. Oh, it says cattle crossing means go slow. That old bull is some cow's beau. Burma-Shave. I love those. They should do that everywhere. Be a good marketing opportunity. They should do that like on major interstates today, modern interstates. And we're 25 miles away from Peach Springs. So what I'm gonna do, I think I am going to see if I can catch maybe the standard tour at the Grand Canyon Caverns. So we should be hitting that before Peach Springs, although it's kind of associated, I think, more with the Peach Springs sides of things. I think it's part of the Wallapai Indian Reservation, the modern reservation, but a classic Route 66 must-do attraction if you're gonna take the time to do this and you don't take time to see Grand Canyon Caverns. I think you're really missing out on something cool. Now, I have seen it before, and it is cool. There's lots of cool, like, Easter eggs in it that I like. So the only thing that could thwart us, I guess, is if for some reason it's the middle of the week, if they're not doing tours at this time. I want to say they run tours to like 7 at night, and it's only 4:30. So I should be making good enough time where we can do that. At the very least, we'll explore the grounds around the outdoors part of it. A lot of you are already familiar with what it is. You can actually book a quote-unquote room, if you want to call it that, and spend the night inside this cave, like 200 feet below the surface, which you would see that on the tour. It's supposed to be haunted. It was featured on, I think it's that Ghost Adventures show. I think they've been in there. I remember there being a mummified bobcat that I think is like 150 or 200 years old, they say, that somehow found its way into the cave and got stuck down there. Kind of sad. And otherwise, it's a unique, very unique cave. Unlike any I've seen. Like, it's, a dry cave, so you don't see a lot of stalactites and stalagmites, but it's just cavernous. It's really large, if I remember correctly. I just realized we've been driving perfectly straight like almost this whole time it feels like. It's like one of those desert roads that just, you just see it all the way to the horizon and it just disappears off in the distance. Those are my favorite. I think there's a whole other set. Get ready, kids. Get ready to laugh your butts off. Here we go. What is this set of Burma-Shave signs? It's hard for me to say Burma-Shave. What do they say? You can drive a mile a minute, but there is no future in it. Another safety message brought to you by Burma-Shave. I'm still kind of laughing to myself. I don't think I got it on video, but there was like 2 different groups I saw doing it. Like I had this truck parked on the street of Seligman, and they had parked kind of parallel parked near me, and they were walking, and 2 times people just went to a full stop and were staring at my pickup truck pointing at it just because of the muddy mess that it is. It kind of delights me for some reason. My original itinerary had me probably about here like 2 hours earlier than now, and I was gonna hang out in Seligman more and eat in Seligman and all that, but yeah, today was a great day. Like I filmed earlier last week's episode, but if you saw that, you'll know this historic steel dam that I went to seek out the way I went. I was bushwhacking through country and terrain like this, trying to find the dang thing. Ironically, off of like a old, almost positive, old segment of Route 66. And I think I might actually see, there it is, there's the Caverns Inn. So I'm guessing this is Grand Canyon Caverns. I know they have the inn which you can still stay in today. Grand Canyon Caverns Road. All right, we're here. We're gonna try to do this. I got 15 minutes before 5, so I think we're gonna have to maybe hustle and not dilly-dally too much on the exterior. And maybe, I kind of like to do the warm-up because there's really cool, interesting things to look at. Like old fire trucks. You see that old service station out there? Is this the right thing though? Like these dinosaur
then turn right to stay on Grand Canyon Caverns Road.
Sculptures and
right to stay on Grand Canyon
all
Caverns
sorts
Road.
of cool stuff.
Then
So
at the next
Cavern,
stop sign, you'll turn left.
Cavern tours and gift shop to the left. The motel is straight ahead. So we'll try to, okay, I guess it's offset back off the road. Cavern tours and RV park and restaurant.
Grand Canyon Caverns
Actually,
Road.
I think we found where we're at, so I can turn that off.
In 400 feet, turn right.
All right, so here we are at the Grand Canyon Caverns, and it's hard to believe that underneath our feet is this giant cave system. So out here in the desert like this, up in Pinyon Pine and Juniper country. So this here is a little restaurant, gift shop, and where you take the elevator down to the bottom. I don't want to dilly-dally too much because, like I said, if I miss that 5 p.m. tour, about 10 minutes, assuming there's enough room on the tour for me. There's quite a few cars here, but I just want to do a quick scan of this. I have to change a camera battery to have a full one loaded before we head down that thing too, because I don't want to be changing batteries and rebalancing my gimbal in the middle of the tour. But there is a little bit of history here too. I'm guessing this kind of talks about it. In 1927, Walter Peck, a cowboy and woodcutter, was walking through this area on his way to play poker when he nearly fell into a hole in the ground. And the next morning, he and his friends returned to the hole with lanterns and ropes, and he was lowered into the hole. So I guess he discovered what he saw, and then he bought the property, and he began an entrepreneurial adventure that began charging 25 cents to early travelers to explore the caverns. More classic Route 66, you're gonna see that symbol everywhere up here. So let's go check out and see what's going on here with the tour times and what the options are.
Hello, sir.
Hi. Good, thank you. There's that little restaurant here.
Yeah, no problem. Have a good day.
So I guess tour tickets sold here. Look at that.
It's all right there. The supplies they have down there as well.
Thank you. So how many do I have on my tour today?
Shortly, and everything trying to do it.
Yeah.
All right, we made it in time with 5 minutes to spare. So I am on the 5 p.m. 45-minute standard tour. All checked in, paid up, and we're doing it. If you've been keeping up with our content in the past couple weeks, you probably know where we're going with this already. Much like that mysterious JD cabin, this one is getting its own episode to keep things neat, tidy, and not a full-length feature film. So tune back for our cave exploration as it's a fun one. We learn new things, note some changes since we last visited, and even debunk a few things. You won't want to miss it. For now, let's return topside and continue on old Route 66. All right, let's do the final approach to our quarters for the night at the Wallapai Lodge. In fact, I don't think I need to do this, but let me plot a route with the good old Google. The Wallapai Lodge in Peach Springs, please. Hey, I actually have enough of a signal.
Head toward Dinosaur City Airport Road.
I will. All right, goodbye, Grand Canyon Caverns. I hope I get to come back again in my lifetime. I'm sure I will. Maybe once every 7 to 10 years is a good cadence for that. We get to drive right here underneath the sign, I believe.
On Grand Canyon Caverns Road.
And unfortunately, we're going to be driving straight into the sun, but I find the GoPro actually handles that. Yeah, it's a little perfect. Like this, the timing worked out perfectly. So, if I missed that 5 o'clock tour, I guess we still would have been able to do a tour, but like I would have had to wait like an hour. But basically, I hit it perfectly. I mean, I couldn't have hit it more perfectly than we did. I wasn't even trying. It just coincidentally, we landed exactly right. It's now 40 after 6 p.m. I get to go back. Probably just eat out of the cooler tonight. I was gonna eat at there's a restaurant, I think, in town that I was gonna try that has fry bread. Something I still have not tried to this date. I keep wanting to try. I don't think they have the Navajo taco because we're not on the Navajo reservation. They have the Wallapai taco here. It looked like the same thing to me though. And I think they're specialty items. I think they've got 2 different types of stews, which sounded good. But I think to save money, I'm going to skip that and just make myself a ham sandwich. I got to eat up the meat anyway. And I've got chips, I've got drinks, plenty of different varieties, lots of water. So I guess I'm just gonna maybe arrive and we'll show you the I'll definitely show you the room in the hotel because I think it's the only choice in town. And since it's the year of Route 66 celebration, maybe one of you out there is gonna book a trip and we'll look at it together and see if it's any good. The reviews seem good when I booked it on hotels.com, so I didn't pick up on any like really negative press about it, so we will see for ourselves. It's gonna be hard to top the Red Garter Inn though. The sun has been brutal. I haven't filmed for the last 10 minutes or so because the sun's behind this hill, but it is like low in the sky and really in my face. So We're only a couple miles now from Peach Springs, so I wanted to capture the moment we get into town. I thought that would be only appropriate for the Cactus Atlas. I think this is it says Hualapai Lodge. Excuse me, so I don't know if it's like a motel style where I get to park outside my room or what. Okay, so Peach Springs, and once again I want to say the inspiration for cars, Radiator Springs, but don't quote me for sure. I didn't look that fact up to validate exactly, but I don't know if it was Peach Springs or the whole area we're in. Probably a combination of both, I would think, but we're less than a mile from the lodge, and I'm assuming the lodge is in a, if Peach Springs has an iconic area, which I don't know if it does. I've seen other videos around Peach Springs, I just am not remembering any detail, so I guess it'll be spoiler free for myself.
Will be on the left.
All right, it's right here. I know there's a convenience store also, I think, connecting the lodge.
destination is on the left.
Yeah, looks like not that old of a hotel, in my opinion. Oh, what's the best way to do this, actually? Ooh, I need one of those. You don't see those as much anymore. So here we are in Peach Springs. I'm gonna go, before it gets dark, I saw a Route 66 sign, so it would be wrong of me to not film it, I think, so. Okay, I was wrong about the convenience store. When I said it's connected, the restaurant is connected, but there's your Hualapai Lodge. I think I go in there to check in. And this Diamond Creek restaurant that I was thinking about. So there's a restaurant, that's where the tacos are. The Hualapai tacos and the stew, I believe. But we're gonna go across over here. Walk across to see the sign here in Peach Springs, Arizona. But I think there it is, Diamond Creek Road. That's the name of the drive that turns into dirt that goes to the Grand Canyon. So we're gonna be heading down that way tomorrow morning. So I don't think I have to pinpoint exactly where the Game and Fish office is. I mean, you don't have many choices here. It's pretty, you got like 10 buildings to choose from. But anyway, I thought it would be inappropriate of me if I didn't come out and film this Route 66 sign here in Peach Springs, Arizona. Because this here looks like a classic Route 66 old gas station. Now it's kind of coming back to me. I know I name dropped Justin Scard's video, and I kind of remember him coming to see this exact thing the other day, and he was remarking on how I think this is the one they're restoring. But look at that, that's definitely an older looking service station. Doesn't look like it's actually in operation right now. But I think he was saying that was redone, maybe, if I'm remembering correctly. More of the centennial celebration signs. And, ooh, there's definitely some older looking structures over there. It looks like maybe private property though. I'm gonna guess one of these is Game and Fish. There's a post office. I'll just deal with that in the morning since I don't think they open till 8 a.m. anyway. So I can do some research on the internet. I think I do have enough of a signal here. But let's come back to this thing. This is a centerpiece to me. But something about this I like. This is where I'm lacking in knowledge to tell you specifics about this, and if other YouTubers had mentioned the facts, I have long since forgotten them. My brain can only hold so much info, but it is cool to just be at a place where you've seen others hanging out. It's kind of a weird connection, I guess, when that kind of thing happens. And then you remember some of the details. Like I said, I think he showed an older photo of this, and this was kind of dilapidated, and I think this is the thing he said they restored. It looks new, or restored at least, so I don't know. You can see an old wooden building off in that direction though, so maybe something to seek out in the morning. It's getting chilly again. I'm still laughing a little bit about my truck, and it is so bad looking. Oh well, what are you gonna do? All right, got all my things in one fell swoop because they have luggage carts, which a lot of places I stay at don't. So this place had that is so nice. So I don't have to make like 10 different trips to haul in all my equipment. But essentially, let me just make sure I locked. I know I'm like right in my face, huh? And get my keys. Make sure Slim is locked up nice and good. And I've got my lunch meats, cheese. The bread's already in the room, and this is my dinner. I'll show you the inside. It's really nice, actually. It's very new. This is the lobby, and they have a little gift shop here. There's a restaurant. This is the restaurant I was gonna eat at, maybe for breakfast actually. I think she said something like they open at 5 a.m. or something, which is awesome, if I heard that right. But really nice place. Some taxidermy. Really nice, tasteful artwork in here. Much newer feeling than the outside made me think. So they must have renovated in here. I love the carpet too. I like that pattern. But we're down this way. We've already been in the room, so I can give you a quick heads up that I'm gonna give it a very good review. It's actually, everything exceeds my expectations thus far for what I thought. All right. Room 127. Here you go. You got that same carpet that I like in here. It's like almost like, I don't want to be insulting because I'm sure the Wallapai made rugs and things too. I wouldn't be surprised, but it reminds me of like a Navajo rug. That's all I really have to compare it to, so I don't know if that's a bad thing to say in this context or not. I don't think it is. I'm just putting my stuff down here. I got one hand. I'm one-handing everything. But yeah, let's take a look. You could see Route 66 right out my window. Slim's parked closer to the entryway. But basically, this is I guess your cheaper option here. You got 2 queen beds. Very clean. I would say exquisitely clean. It smells fresh in here. Sometimes older places can seem dingy, you know, and kind of have a dingy smell to them. This does not at all. I mean, this smells very sanitary and clean. So I appreciate that. That's usually the first thing that I notice in a hotel room is the smell. And if it smells dingy or feels dusty or something, you know, you can kind of tell. I usually look at the walls in places I stayed. I didn't film that yesterday, but like in the Red Garter Inn, and even here when I walked in, you could tell they dust the walls because a lot of places don't. So even though the room feels clean, if you look very carefully, oftentimes there's lots of dust and grossness on the walls. So not here. And you get a lot of convenience. You do get the fridge, which I'm gonna use to store my sandwich meat so I don't have to go back out to the car tonight, and water and stuff. You have a microwave, a lot of like drawer space, very modern furniture, tastefully decorated, you know, native style artwork. It's great. And it's very affordable. It's very inexpensive, I would say, at least at this time of the year. I don't want to quote, maybe weekend prices are more, summer prices are more, I don't know. But I want to say it was in the low hundreds after fees and taxes. Here, the fan's going to be noisy though. So I apologize, but you can get a look at the bathroom. I would say perfectly clean. At least I could see the reflection in the granite. It's hard, you can hide stuff in that color granite, but toilet, perfectly clean. This looks clean and not ancient or old. So everything, you know, you got the old school bathtub style, which is fine with me. I got one like this in my house. So for me, this is luxury these days. And there you go. It's 7:30 p.m. I have been filming all day. This video started late, you know, I don't know, like 2 or 3 in the afternoon. So keep in mind, I was filming all day before that. I hiked miles to an old 1800s train tunnel. You can go see last week's video to see that, as well as several other locations, bushwhacking in the desert. Then I transitioned to Route 66. So I cram a lot in and make a lot of content in short spurts like this. So for me, this is par for the course, but it's how I roll. So anyway, let me get settled in. Thank you so much for joining me. I had a good time on the Route 66 portion of today. Actually, the whole thing I did today was good fun, and I enjoyed having you with me, and I hope you come back next week to see the next continuation of this trip. See you then.